Today I have two lectures with you. One is this one, which is a little heavy. The other one is a bit softer. But anyway, it's all about knowledge, and we'll be starting today ureter and urinary bladder. Ureter, we talked a lot about that already. So now we start the ball rolling. We are looking at the urinary bladder, urethra, and the main important thing is this yellow dot. This yellow dot is very important for us to make it and to throw out of our body. If we don't make it, that's a problem. If we don't throw it out, that's a problem. Because it has all unwanted substances. And kidney is the organ. When it starts affecting, then everything is being gone. The kidney is the first organ to go, and then it's been followed by the other structures. But it's not necessary that always story begins from the kidney. Story can go anywhere. But when the kidneys are packed up, when kidneys are gone, that's the beginning of the end of the story. And what has been presumed, the death which comes after problem with the kidneys is a sweet death. Once seeing a sweet death, the person is a painless, thank you very much. Person is not hostile, there is no aggression, and slowly and slowly and slowly you can see someone leaving. And that happens. Anyway, target is, you have taken this lecture probably. Ureter comes from the ureteric bud, and mesonephric duct plays a major role. Rest Paul has to explain. So now ureter of the kidney, and its destiny is to go to the urinary bladder. And this is how the ureters are. Ureters are very thin tubes, and those of you who visited our labs, they have seen them. Those of you who have not, they can assume, they can see the pictures and they will do it. So now there's a big story. When ureter leaves the kidney, it runs over the psoas major muscle, and on its way down to reach to the urinary bladder, it finds so many structures who are either going in front of it or they are going behind it. Right? So there's a big crossover. I'm not going in those details. Right side, the arrangement is different. Left side, the arrangement is different because we have different named vessels on the right side and we have different named vessels on the right and the left side. So this is the complete detailing of all that. And why I put it here, I don't know. I don't like to read my slides. It is for those who don't want to open their books. At least they can see from here. Now, we learn one thing. In this whole slide, we can say that when ureter is going, it crosses over the common iliac vessels. It passes the pelvic brim. Now my question is, what is pelvic brim? I'm bringing a pelvis for you. Show me, where is the pelvic brim? You see what I'm saying? When we were learning that ureter has three constrictions. And we were taught the first constriction was where it begins. Second constriction was when it was crossing over the common iliacs or pelvic brim, or in the third constriction when it was entering the wall of the urinary bladder. Am I right? Yes. We learn all these three things. Now, I brought a pelvis here, and I like you guys to show me where is the pelvic brim in this image. So now, our discussion was where is pelvic brim. Other structures is not needed at the moment. So the question was, where is pelvic brim? So many people came with the right option, so many people came with the wrong option. So let's see that. So these are other measurements. This round thing, where you see this round thing, that is the pelvic brim. Those who are aligned with this red circle, that is the right option. Okay? So this red circle, where it goes over these bones, and the bones are sacrum, behind, and on the side is the coxal bone. And in front they are meeting at pubic symphysis. So this red circle indicates our pelvic brim. Am I right? So now, pelvic brim is also called as pelvic inlet. Why is it important? Except for structures, all of us. Before our birth, all of us who born normally, and I can see majority have born normally. I can see that. They were not being born through cesarean sections, or usually when a child is born, the head is something which comes first. There are few people, their feet come first, but they are called breech delivery. But a normal delivery, head comes first. So when the head of a child, of an infant, of a newborn comes and come in contact with this pelvic rim, this is the time where mother starts experiencing the pains of the labor, the pains of the childbirth. That's the time. And then it's a time-dependent activity. It may take few minutes, few seconds, few minutes, few hours, and some days, sometime, if it's that late. But from this pelvic brim to the lowermost part, pelvic brim part is called inlet, and the lowermost part called as outlet. This whole channel is known as the birth canal. And the baby, everyone who born normally, has to pass through the birth canal. And the moment we come out, we were declared we are born. So we all have gone through this phase, and we all have traversed this journey. Now, these are the details. We learned that the ureter has three parts. The first part we call as the abdominal part, second part we call it as the pelvic part, and the third part we call as the intravesical part or intramural part. The abdominal part was when it leaves the hilum of the kidney and it reaches to the pelvic brim. That was the first part, the abdominal ureter. From the pelvic brim to the lateral wall of the urinary bladder, that is the second part or the pelvic ureter. And from the wall of the bladder, getting inside the cavity of the bladder, that small distance is called intravesical part. That's the third part of the ureter. Every part has its own significance, and every part has its own importances. I have put down a big list of the structures who are crossing over or where ureter is going in front of certain important vascular or other structures. And these are important for us. And it's a must-know type of information. Be ready questions from these. So this description is being provided. Now, for this description, I have only one image here. It's not animating, but you can see here, because it's too complex to draw. There you can see the right kidney. We learned that anteriorly, at the hilum of the right kidney, we have the second part of the duodenum. And behind this, can you see the ureter coming down? This structure is ureter. This tubular structure is ureter. It's coming down and it is being crossed over by the right caulicle, which is branched from my superior mesenteric. When it goes down, further it crosses over by ileocaulicle. And then it is going under. Now they were going over the ureter. And ureter is going under these gonadal vessels, which are going to the inferior vena cava. This is right side, which are going to the inferior vena cava and coming from the abdominal aorta. After going through that part, it comes down, it crosses in front of the common iliac vessels. Then it is sent down in the pelvis and it has to reach to the lateral side of the urinary bladder, and this is where you are looking at the urinary bladder. This is how it is happening on the right side. On the left side, you can see that it goes behind the fourth part of the duodenum, comes down, crossed by the left colic artery, branch from inferior mesentery, and then it is being crossed by these common iliacs, not common iliacs, the gonadals, and gonadals are different here, especially the vein. Then it is being going behind the sigmoidal arteries, and then it's crossing in front of the common iliacs, and then coming down and reaching medially to the wall of the lateral wall of the urinary bladder. Make sense? On the posterior surface. Is this clear? So we have seen the anterior relations and posterior relations of both of the ureters on the right side and on the left side when it has to reach to the urinary bladder. Going further, now this is an image from lower part. Now how we oriented ourselves with this image? This is the upper part of the body. This is the lower part of the body. We are looking from the top. This is where the common iliacs pass, and this is where ureters are coming down. This is down. Up is here. It's upside down picture. And this you can see the sigmoid colon. It goes becoming erect because I have to show this thing. And this is the uterus, is the female model, and there's the urinary bladder. Now when it goes down, when it is reaching to the urinary bladder, you can see it's crossed over by in females by a very important structure, and this important structure is the uterine artery. You can see that this uterine artery, right and left both, remember, it's not only right. Image you can see one. So uterine artery goes above the ureter. Now what happens? During various gynecological surgeries, it happens. By mistake, gynecologist, when she's tying across the uterine artery, it happens a lot. They tie the ureter as well. They tie the ureter, now you block that system. And when you come to know, when person starts pouring urine from the wound or from the vagina, it happens. It happens a lot. It's a misery. And that's the beginning of misery of a female and a misery of their dog. Both of them are gone. Finish. Surviving out of it is not easy. If you're really smart, you can survive. I'm not saying survival in terms of living, survival in terms of your integrity. So it happens. Then it enters the urinary bladder. Any questions so far? Clear? Now, coming back. Ureter, we saw that. Now let's recap. On its pathway is related to some important circles. First circle, we know about it, is crossed by the gonadals. Second circle is going in front of the common arteries. And the third circle, if we have uterine artery, these are three important things on the right side. Three important vascular relationship on the right side. On the left side, what is more important is, you have a plan to leave? Tell me, I will mark attendance at that time. Okay. So now on the left side, we have left renal vein, which is very important. Why is it important? Because it's different. And remember, anything which is different, it becomes more important. Why it is? What is happening? Left gonadal vein is coming here. We talk about it in details, and then we see what superiorly, after supplying suprarenal is draining in that, you can see that this left gonadal vein, left renal vein is connected by this communicating channel to the inferior vena cava. So in a situation, if inferior vena cava is blocked here, you can see the blood can drain from here to here, or blood can go in either of the directions, right? So shunting is possible because there is a communication. Yesterday you were asking about that. I told you, today you can see. Make sense? Guys, these vascular relations are important. In particular, this one here and these three are very important. Now, the blood supply of the ureter. Ureter is very rich in getting its arteries. So we can see that right when it begins, when it starts, you can see that from the renal artery, we have renal artery supplying it. You can see that it's coming here. From the gonadal artery, when it goes close to it, it gets branched. From the aorta, we didn't talk about the aorta has ureteric branches, but you can see that it's given up. From the common ileus, never say from the external ileum, always say from the internal ileum. From the superior vesicle, if it's a female, uterine, vaginal, middle rectal in either of the six, and inferior vesicle. So these are the names of the arteries. Please be good with these names. That these are the main arteries who supply the ureter. If somebody asks you, which arteries supply the ureter in pelvis, which arteries supply the ureter in the abdominal part, so somebody can put a question like that. Now this is the blood supply of the ureter. Be good with that. Now, the nerve supply. What do you understand by the nerves? How these nerves are supplying the ureter? Any idea? Tell me. Plexus. Which plexus? Uterine plexus. Lower three thoracic nerves. We talk about greater, lesser, and least. First lumbar, second, fourth, second, third, fourth, sequential segments. Parasympathetic, renal aortic plexuses, superior, inferior, hypogastric plexuses. So they all contribute. So my dear, answer is not saying autonomy. An answer is not saying parasympathetic and he's saying sympathetic. So you have to come up, this is just a laying down. And then from here we have so many distribution. I will be showing you that. Just remind me. Not now, because today I have 8 hours. Out of my 8 hours, I am teaching 8 hours. Now, coming back to the ureter, we learned that it begins its journey from the median side and it comes down to the urinary bladder. It shows on its pathway a narrow here, proximal ureter, when it crosses the pelvic brim or the common ileus, and third, when it enters the wall of the urinary bladder. You all agree with that? Guys, this information, if you don't know, you don't deserve to pass this exam. Now, we talk about pain. They were bringing, basically what he was trying to say, within the wall of the ureter we have uterine plexus, and this plexus gets branches from all these sources which we were discussing. All of them supplying to that uterine plexus, so each segment of the uterine plexus, each part of the ureter is become pain sensitive. Why are we getting pain? Are we getting pain because of a stone in a ureter? Maybe. No. Answer is no.
Construction.
No. Can you elaborate, Manhal, for this construction? You said it, man, construction.
It's when it was something is, I don't know.
Sajid.
I think so, due to the dilation of the...
You're very good. What happens? A stone passes, there's no problem. Stone passes, it may damage the wall. When it causes the damage in the wall, you might find a little bit bleeding. This bleeding will not come as a frank blood. You can see a pink urine coming out. But when a stone stuck in one of the nevocyte, which we were talking in our previous slide, when a stone stuck there, this stone causes back pressure. Urine is coming out. Kidney doesn't know there is a stone impacted in one of the place. So urine is being puddled. Urine is being trapped in one place. So now this amount of volume, which has been because of this obstruction, it caused distension of the wall. When the stretch receptors of the wall, they stretches out. So due to the stretch, we had influx, we had inflammation which reached to this urinary plexus, and that initiate pain, and that goes to different dermatomes. Now with this thing you will see in this model that what is happening. You are looking at a stone which is at the beginning of the ureter. It has not entered the ureter, it is in the kidney or in the renal pelvis. So when we have a stone here, the pain, if we have a stone, usually we don't like to use the word stone, the appropriate word is calculus. Stone is a normal street language, it's a slang language. So if we have a calculi within the kidney or the proximal ureter or the pelvis part rather, I must say in a kidney or the pelvic calyceal system, if we have a calculi and it moves there, it causes some obstruction, it causes something. If you have a calculus within your system and if you don't move, trust me, you never get any pain ever. Pain only comes when it moves, when it got stuck somewhere. If a calculus is silent, it remains silent. It has to do nothing with the thing. So now, when it is there, which dermatomes will perceive the pain will go from T10 to L1. If the calculus is in the kidney or the renal pelvis, so patient will present a pain which begins in his back and come to the front. It may radiate, it may not radiate. It may radiate, it may not radiate. But look at this calculus when it moves down. Can you see it's moving down? Reaching to the pelvic brim. Now in this situation, now the abdominal ureter, when we have movement occurring, when we have obstruction occurring in this part of the ureter, it will be perceived in the dermatomes T11 and L2. That is happening. And when it moves from here to the wall of the bladder, now what we can see in the pelvic ureter, L1 and L2 are the segments. So we have a rich plexus, and this plexus has contribution from everywhere. We may have an overlap, sometimes we may have an overlap, but classically, when somebody presents to you with a pain, what he will say, doctor, the pain starts from my back and it radiates to the front. From my back to my inner aspect of the thigh, to my genitalia, towards my pubic tubercle, towards the tip of my penis, towards my testis, a female will say into my labia. The pain which begins at the back, and there is a word for that, and that says from the loin to the groin. The pain which begins in the loin comes to the groin is nothing but the ureteric. The pain due to the ureteric calculus. That's a classic. If somebody says, doctor, I had a pain which starts around my umbilicus and it goes to the right lower quadrant of my body, we can blindly say, yes, it is an acute appendicitis. It's a pain which is coming from the appendix. If a female says, before she has started her cycles, her menstruation, and she comes with a severe pain to your clinic, start thinking it is a pre-cyclic pain. So there are certain classic words. If a pain which begins and it radiates to the back between your shoulders is a pancreatic origin pain. So just looking at the characteristic of a pain, you can figure out if patient says, doctor, I had a pain when I have some nice dinner, I had some fatty meal, I get a pain which goes to my tip of my shoulder. You start thinking of a gallstone pain. A pain which comes after having a nice dinner, it's usually a pain in the gallbladder. If someone says a pain which is here in pinpointing, and you start thinking of heart attack. So there are certain characteristic clues, like we learn in MSK, somebody fall and outstretched hand. We know if it's a child, we break the clavicle. We say it can be the lower, supracondylar fracture. If it's an adult, we can say Colles fracture. So we know the mechanisms. So this is classically described here, a pain which begins from the back, from the loin to the groin. Now groin, patient doesn't know what is groin. Even before this, you don't know what is a groin. Person will be saying, I can see it's coming to my testis. It's in my, something, patient will be initiating. I can see something wrong in my penis. He will not be saying, you will say it's in the ureter. No, doctor, I can feel it's there. That happens. Because the pain pathway, the dermatomal things. So this should be very clear in our mind. If you are in doubts, please be clear about it. You may find a little bit overlap in different books, but this is a standardized term. It can be variable, but solve it. I hope this pattern has to be clear. And we should be able to differentiate. If it stays here, it will be from the back to the front. If it's radiate downward, it means we have the involvement in the ureter. Now, somebody comes with a pain which comes from the back, go to the front. And he says, I have nausea also. It means now the vagus is involved. And vagus is supplying parasympathetic this segment. Vagus is not supplying here. When someone says, I had a nauseated feeling with this pain, I feel like throwing out, oh, vagus is carrying parasympathetic over here. Because vagus is the one who also supplies my stomach. When the pain sensation has been there, it is also involving the stomach, and patient has the feeling of nausea. So all things are interconnected, and that explains the various mechanisms which are important to understand. I hope it's clear. Anybody have any doubts? Please correct your things. So this is what I was saying, the dermatomes to which, so these boxes are showing the dermatomes, and if we have calculus in the abdominal part, it will be going to this dermatome. If we have calculus in the kidney or the pelvis, it will be going to this dermatome. And if we have calculus here, it will be going to this dermatome. Is clear? Going further. We talk about, there are three sites where a normal calculus can start. Otherwise, these sites are not the problem. Only these are the narrow places. So now, we talk about from the loin to the groin. Make sense to everybody? Now, calculus in the upper ureter. You can see that it's here. Before that, it's all dilated. The calyx has been distorted. Now, beyond, this is an IVU. Beyond, there is a clearance, good clearance. So, it's okay. But you can see that this is the calculus in the proximal ureter. Calculus in the mid ureter. And then calculus in the distal ureter. These are, you can see the effect. There's a back. Normally, ureter should not appear like this. The passage, the ureter, the lumen has not to be open all the time. The urine passes due to the peristalsis. The passage of urine is not, it's a tube, you put it from the top, it has to come down. No, it will not come down. Now, who control this peristalsis? Tell me. Hold on. Parasympathetic? Wrong. Wrong. Now. Wrong.
Smooth muscle.
Smooth muscle, wrong. Wrong. Gravity, wrong. Vagus, wrong. Vagus is parasympathetic.
Muscles in the upper.
Wrong.
Interaction.
Wrong. Wrong.
Self-regenerating reflexes.
Really?
هذا كيس حرام.
Urinary nerve is a urinary plant down in your urethra. What is going up? I said wrong. He said parasympathetic. I said wrong. He said parasympathetic. Guys, you learn about pacemaker in heart. There is a pacemaker in the ureter also. There is a pacemaker in the ureter. And this pacemaker, where it lives in the minor calyces. It's a myogenic. It's a muscular, within the muscle, within the smooth muscle, there is a myogenic center. And there is not only one pacemaker, there are more than one pacemaker. And these are the ones who are responsible for the peristalsis. This autonomic is not really the one who maintains this peristalsis. The peristalsis is dependent on this aortic, on the ureteric pacemakers. Right? So remember these terms. Everything except. Now, remember, ureter, when it leaves the kidney to reach the urinary bladder, it goes in close contact with these bones. Tip of the transverse processes from L2 to L5, sacroiliac joint, spine of the ischium, and then going to the posterior lateral aspect of the urinary bladder. This is the normal pathway for the ureter. Now, this is very important. Ureter, when enters the lumen, this is where the lumen of the urinary bladder. Ureter, when it enters oblique. What's the benefit? Whatsoever urine is formed comes down. But once bladder is full, it wants to go back. This flap close. So urine can come only, it cannot leave. So it acts like a valve. This flap, the bladder mucosa flap, acts like a valve, and it prevents the backflow of the urine into the ureter. It prevents backflow of the urine into the kidney, into the duct system. Because if urine goes back, that is a bad news. We call it reflux disease. You learn a reflux disease with the esophagus, GERD, G-E-R-D. That was a reflex disease there. And here, have you experienced that GERD thing?
Yes.
Sometime in Ramadan, after a Fajr prayer, you sleep, and around 10 o'clock you woke up and something very bitter comes to your mind, and you feel like, what happened to me? And your whole thing got burned. Now you are fasting, you cannot have something, and now you have to suffer, you have to wait. Sometimes people break their fast and all that. Sometimes it gets so severe. And usually what happens, when you eat fried and this and that stuff too much, then you are prone to get it. Don't blame the hot foods. The fried stuff is more responsible. Make sense to everybody? Siran?
Yes.
Alas.
I'm awake to this. Yes.
Now, this ureter. If ureter has an oblique entry, that is necessary. And this oblique entry creates this flap. Now, if someone has an infection here, what will happen? Urine is keep on coming. It cannot release out nicely. Let's say, if I say, we are going, there's a very nice weather outside, let's go for, there is some party going on. If you reach there, you can find a Munch cupcake, and they are very limited. And you are the one who loves them the most. Or they are distributing iPhone 20 free. Free. Those who reach, they will get it. There are only 20 pieces. So you'll run. If you don't run, but I will run. So, this door, everybody is rushing to this door. Will it be crowded? Yes. So now, if this is being narrowed down, if this is being impacted, lower part of the ureter balloons up. Where? In the lumen of the bladder. This ballooning up is because this becomes narrow. Like, let's say you are going from uni. The HSC has some problem. They are doing some construction. and there is only one lane of cars is going. So you can find a big zahma there. And then people will be going through these streets. Does that happen? Sometimes you see that happen. So this condition, when the lower end of the ureter, within the wall of the ureter, it balloons up. It shows some dilatation. And this we call as ureterocele. How much is that boring? So we call this condition as ureterocele. And now this is, I'll continue this a little bit after. Now, what are you looking at in this X-ray? This is a contrast. Is it normal or abnormal? So there is no pathology. That's what peristalsis is. That is peristalsis. Urine comes in pulses. It don't come. It's not a tube. It's not a continuous tube. That is called peristalsis. You can see that's why it's important when you have these studies. You want to have not one X-ray. You have to have many X-rays. So in the next ray you are focused for is there every X-ray showing same pattern, or maybe the next film will be showing it's fine here. There is a dilation here. Could be of any reason. But I am more concerned that my calyces have not been affected. They are showing very nice concavity. Can you see that? I will show you when it is being blunted. I will show you when it is. You are not getting me?
No, I'm getting you, but I'm not saying the rest of the ureter.
The rest of the ureter is fine. This is what like you see the other one. It's not visible here. But I see that when we see this X-ray, we always go to the pelvis. If we see nice concavities within the calyx, it means everything is fine. But if we see blunting, if we see they are popping outwards, that's the problem. That shows there is backward pressure. So this is all because of the peristalsis. Good flow in the ureter. It's all fine. Going further. Can you see something? Now look at these. Are they the same?
No.
Compare them. Now you see there is something. There is some pathology. Well, nobody bothers from you that you can say what pathology is. You can say only, I can see the upper part of the ureter looks widened, dilated, and the pelvis and calyx appears dilated. Enough. That is an answer from you. Enough. Right side looks fine, left side shows me little dilatation. Enough. That you should write. Don't bring an essay. You're not a radiologist. You're not a resident of urology. Make sense? Now you compare it. I'm coming to your question, Bara. Compare it with the normal ureter and compare it with the abnormal ureter. Yes, Bara. Ureter is very muscular, usually not because of this. It ruptures, but not because of this. You see, even there is a kink, zahma, but after that you can see the traffic is flowing. Maybe not with that good flow, but it is reaching to the blood. And this other kidney is functioning fine. If one kidney is closed, other kidney will make urine, and we'll see the free flow of contrast into the thing. Now, this is the normal image. This is a reconstruction, 3D urogram. And you can see all the structures, and you can see what I was showing you. Ureter, when it goes down, it goes so close to tip of the transverse processes of the second, third, fourth, fifth vertebrae, sacroiliac joints, and then it's going to the, and then ischial spines, and going to the ureter. Make sense?
The previous X-ray, there was a stone in the ureter.
Who says? There was a kink. There was a kink. I will show you why. Maybe a little twist. If there was a stone, you will not see this ureter. Can you see ureter here?
Yes.
So there is an obstruction because of any reason. But it's not a complete obstruction. Partial obstruction. Now, this is the same 3D. And you have to label these things. That's important. That is expected from you. You will be asked, what is this, what is this, what is this, what is this? Is it difficult? Now, there is a description being given with that. What are these numbers? Now, what do you see in this eye view? Any pathology? No? Sure? Yes. Why you are saying that?
Yes.
So now this is the same X-ray interpretation. Right?
ما في شيء.
ما في شيء. No. Do you see something here? ما في شيء. ما في شيء. في شيء. What do you see here? W. Thank you very much. If you say two ureters, خلاص. If you cannot say duplex, we don't mind. Now it can be of so many types. It can join in the top, it can join lower down, it may enter separately. Right? Anything is called duplex. This is to do with the development. So you can see that in this given IVU, this is the image. Make sense? Now, and the 3D, same duplex. Now, this is a real thing. Can you see that? One is normal, one is the extra one, but they meet and they open. So they can open same, they can open separately, so they can join any other place. This is the presentation, this is what you are seeing in those x-rays.
Case of the W, there is a
Say loud.
case of the W, person with W, there's a calculus in one of the ureters. Would the patient be asymptomatic?
Listen, when someone has a calculus in his ureter, and if this calculus is causing any obstruction, then patient has problem. And if this calculus is not doing anything, this will remain as it is. Nobody knows. A time will come, maybe kidney dies, finish. Nobody knows what happened. Only the problem comes when stone moves, when calculus moves. Okay? And if you have obstruction anywhere, one ureter or two ureters, the problem will show. Now, what's wrong? Can you see that? There were two ureters. One was opening normally, other was opening in the prosthetic urethra. And this was not having that oblique entry. Because of that, urines go back, reflux into the ureter, into the kidney. This part of the kidney is destroyed. Can you see where is the pyramid and where is the medulla? Compare with the normal to abnormal. So half of the kidney is dead, which has the normal drainage, which has the oblique entry, and the one who has ectopic entry, that has suffered from reflux disease. Yes?
Can we say that the upper part of the kidney has hydronephrosis?
Yes, hydronephrosis, hydroureter, every hydro you can put here. Make sense? And as a result of this all, that has been destroyed, that has been dead, killed. So this is an ectopic ureter with duplex. Because this ureter is not opening to its normal place. Now, what is this? It's a catheter. It has a name. We like it. Region. Start. I heard they'll start teaching. So, psoas muscles. This is an MR. Usually we don't go for it unless then for stones we usually don't go for MRs. For other pathologies. Now, what do you see here? This was the normal entry. Now people, as an habit, no, bathrooms are not clean here in the unit. I like to go, when I reach home, I'll pass urine. You live with urine. You like to hold it. Come, Ashwar. How much is paying for this massage?
It's free, doctor.
Free?
Free, yes.
I need 1 hour. So, oblique entry, he's holding urine because of the blood pressure. It might cause a lift and it becomes straight. Now obliquity has gone. There is no valve activity because of this back pressure. Reflux has developed. Now when your bladder is full, urine is going to the ureters. Urine is going to the kidneys. And a day reach, your kidneys has destroyed. This is called reflux disease, degraded. Grade 1, it can reach onto the ureter here but not causing any blunting. Grade 3, it could start causing blunting, moderate blunting, and here you can see it. Now this kidney gone. This is called, reflux disease, vesico-ureteric reflux disease, VUR. And people suffers a lot because of this, if they don't have this normal obliquity. Make sense? Now, what is this? Ureter is hugging around the phallus. Can you see that? It's going behind. I view, CT scan will show you like that, and that is a retrograde study which demonstrates this thing. We call it, it's going behind the cava, we call it retrocaval ureter. Right? If you know this much enough. If you can say this ureter is going behind the inferior vena cava, enough from you. Right? No, but strong. Due to infection, due to any problem, this part of the urethra, this part of the ureter becomes narrow. This person comes to you, obviously he will not come to you with this image. He will come to you with some urinary problems. You do X-ray, X-ray is fine. Ultrasound shows some hydronephrosis. You do X-ray, fine. IVU, fine. Then you put a tube from below to push this contrast, and you can see this part appears silent. But even contrast is going, it means it's narrowed down. So who makes it narrow? Because the ureter in this place get narrows. And that is called stricture. Where it gets narrows, it can be because of infection, it can be because of many reasons. But this is called stricture in the pathway of the ureter.
Doctor, in this, how would you differentiate between normal peristalsis and constriction?
A normal peristalsis person will never pay for your clinic, never take appointment, he will never want to see you, no matter how smart you may be, how nice car you may carry. But he never want to come and waste his precious time for you. Only when somebody comes to you, it means that person has a problem. Always think anybody who's coming, he's coming or she's coming for some help. And you are the one who can provide.
Why the X-ray looks fine?
Why the X-ray looks fine? Is it fine?
You said if we do X-ray.
X-ray we do, we don't see any stone. By saying fine, this is I mean. It's not giving any clue. Then to get a clue, to get an information, you cannot open everybody. Class, I cannot see anything. I'd like to open your abdomen and see what ureter is. Even when you see from outside, you cannot figure out that this ureter is fine or this ureter is narrow inside. Got it?
Sure.
Now, ureter during its development may show different type of anomalies. So you can see that this is a normal ureter. On one side there is a reflux. There is a duplex, double ureter. Retrocaval. Can open separately. We have seen these examples. Am I right?
Yes.
And these all are congenital anomalies. These are not pathologies. Pathologies are disease process. You are born normal, then you get something. But here you are born with these problems. And these problems will cause some pathologies. Make sense? Is it that? We all agree?
Yes.
Is it that? And these are like that. So we cut it. It resembles something. Urinary bladder. Urinary bladder is like that. It has a superior surface. Guys, listen, everything has a meaning here.
Yes, sure.
It has a superior surface. It has two inferior lateral surfaces, and posteriorly it has a base, and this is the apex. Apex to apex, base to base, inferior lateral surface of both the sides, and superior surface. Make sense? So when you think of a urinary bladder, always think of a boat. Got it? Did you forget it? So this is another view of urinary bladder, where we can see all its surfaces. Now if we want to see inside, when we see a urinary bladder, when it is empty, we can see there are folds. It has thrown, it's not ruby, it's not stomach. Get out of the stomach. Don't only think of eating, think of making urine. So, these folds, once the bladder is open, come on, you missed the ride in the boat. We all had cruise. He was the passenger, he was thrown in water. So when there is bladder is empty, the folds are more. And once it is full, it is stretched. So this is the beauty in the urinary bladder. What happens? We'll talk about this shortly. So are we good with the surfaces of the urinary bladders? Any doubts? This part, this apex is ureter. Have you took this lecture before?
Medial umbilical.
It goes to the umbilicus. Usually, it gets stenosed, it closes off, but sometimes it persists. When it persists, what it causes, I will show you. Now, we are looking at different views of urinary bladder. Am I right? I don't see any problem. Now, there's a urinary bladder in a body. Now, coming here. We are looking at, behind the pubic symphysis, we have the urinary bladder, and in the female, uterus sleeps over that. So, and most posterior sector is the rectum. In female, in male, minus the uterus. So there is a space in between the rectum and the urinary bladder. In males, we call it rectovesical pouch. And what is this rectovesical pouch? Is the peritoneum who comes down and then goes back. Right? Is the most dependent part in our peritoneum if we are standing. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, when we see inside the urinary bladder, when we distend it, we can see that it's made up of muscles. And these muscles have a name. These are smooth muscles and they are named as detrusor muscles. And these detrusor muscles, they are arranged obliquely, transversely and circularly. So longitudinal, transverse, oblique, these are the fascia. But internally, it is lined by a special type of mucosa, urothelium. And this urothelium is, why it is so special? Because it is transitional epithelium. And what is so fancy about transitional epithelium? It is being said it don't have basement membrane. It don't have basement membrane, so we can stretch it maximum. We can stretch it maximum. So once we can stretch it, once the urinary bladder is full, if some book says it has a basement membrane, it's very thin, it's negligible. So once we stretch this urinary bladder, it may accommodate up to 500 ml of urine. Why are you playing with his ears? And he was enjoying. So, urinary bladder, its urothelium has a capacity to stretch. Second duty of this urothelium is it's non-absorptive. Because what urine contains? All unwanted material. You want to reabsorb it?
No.
You want to throw it out. If you leave a cup of urine in this room, trust me, tomorrow nobody will like to enter here. You all run away and you will ask the janitorial staff to clean up and all that. So, those toxins has not to be reabsorbed. That has to be prevented. Makes sense? So in the lumen of the bladder, what else we see, we'll talk about it. So now, this is the place where ureters are opening in the cavity of the urinary bladder. We call them ureteric orifice. Now this is one of the ureteric orifice, and this is the place from whatsoever urine is made has been brought into the urinary bladder. And this view, when we get it, when we put a scope, when we put a manazir through the urethra and we get into urinary bladder, then only we can see that. And only when we distend this urinary bladder by putting some fluid inside. Now, you remember we were talking about this? I talked about some zahm. Now, because of this, these balloons have been formed in the lumen of the urinary bladder. And these are the openings. They become so narrow that they can hardly admit a finest needle in that. It becomes so narrow. And this condition, we learn it, we call it ureterocele, and because of that you can see there is a back pressure. This ureter, well, it's not necessary that it should be associated with an ectopic ureter. It can be with a normal situation. If that is the case, urine is now cannot come down. It's not like urine is going up. Urine is unable to come down. This ureter is unable to empty it out. So it stays. When it stays there, it causes back pressure and it causes destruction. And treatment is very simple. You put a knife here and slit it. That's it. That's the treatment. You open up that tighten up thing, things go fast. No need to sew it, no need to apply anything. Yes?
isn't like just cutting it will cause whenever the urine goes down, it will reflect that?
Actually, the ureter was fine. There was no obliquity lost. Only the meatus, like see this room, if you remove this door and you put a small narrow door here, automatically every day there will be traffic. If you make a wide door, and if this door has a problem, let's say the small one is only working, now then problem will come for whom? Not for you, but problem will be for me, for Abshar, for Manhal. We'll have difficulties going out, right? But not for everybody. So if we open up this one, then it's all fine. Everybody can go, jump, run, jump. Correct? Clear? So the obliquity was there, but only problem was this become narrow. So you remove this obstruction, everything is fine. Like there is an accident on the road, you remove that accident car, the road is fine. Now, when we see inside the bladder, this is a description of that. Let's see ourselves. We were here. Alas. This is a situation we call, no, this is something. A triangle. We call it trigon. See why this trigon is important. What is the beauty of trigon? Stretch is a see, does it stretches out? Sensitive for what? Sensitive for urine, not stress. The moment we perceive little bit of urine here, sensation goes to the brain, there is some urine. It has to be drained out. So trigon having extra sensation. And this part is smooth. The other part of the urinary bladder thrown in the folds. But this trigon will never be thrown in the folds. It is smooth. No matter bladder is full or bladder is empty. This remain the same. And it has 3 openings. 2 on the top. So these openings are called ureteric opening. And there 2 ureters are opening up here. And in between, can you see there is a bar? This is interuterine bar. And down there is an opening which connects this urinary bladder to its neck, to its mouth. There is the beginning of the urethra. In a male, just below the neck of the urinary bladder, we have the prostate. Now, these ureteric orifices we use to enter, to insert our cameras, our instruments into the ureters, into the pelvis, into the calyx. And we can destroy the stones there, we can resect the tumor there, and we can come out without causing any cut, any wound to our patient. There is no sutures. You go through the urethra, you get into the urinary bladder, you enter through these ureteric orifices, and you are inside. Got it? It happens. Now, in a female example, urethra is short. We'll talk in detail about urethra. Don't worry. Now, when we put a scope through the urethra into the urinary bladder, we'll find different images. These are real images. You are at the neck of the bladder. And you can see these are my tubes going, and this is the bladder neck. You are inside, you are close to the ureter. You can see that this tube is going inside, the ureteric opening. These are, what are these? When somebody try to insert this tube, if he touches, if he apply a little bit pressure on the mucosa, he makes these holes. Now these holes will stay. Here he's not perforating the detrusor. It's just these holes have been made in the wall of the mucosa. In future, this person has a problem. We go inside again. Now you don't know which way to go. You're lost. Now if you are not playing smart, if you don't use your mind, you make it a complete perforation. So it happens now you have to identify which is the right way. You go in this one, after that you feel as if you are in a jungle. You cannot see anything, khalas, come out. Try this one, nothing works. So it's a juxtaposition. It happens. So you can see various views. Even you can see in a hole there is another channel. And this is very true picture. This is the real one, this is the fake one. And this is man-made. This is not, he don't made these. It's us, our community. Now, this is very important. to know what are the structures related to the posterior wall, base of the urinary bladder, and especially in males, because they have the vas deferens, seminal vesicles. Ureter is common for both the genders, male and female both have ureters. But female don't have seminal vesicle, they don't have vas deferens. But see why female don't need seminal vesicles? Answer is hey. Tell me the answer. Really? Is it true? You don't know? So then why you say that? You say that female does not require seminal vesicle because she don't make sperms. Seminal vesicles are the reservoir, are the storing place. The sperm has been made by the testes, brought by the vas deferens, stored in the seminal vesicle, and at the time of ejaculation, they have been ejaculated out. Right? So, knowing these information, don't put prostate as the relation to the posterior wall or the base of the urinary bladder in males. Female don't have prostate. Now let's make a male urinary bladder. You know about these bones, there are certain muscles. This is the urinary bladder of a male sample. This is again guys, we learn about a diaphragm here. Now there is a diaphragm in the pelvis. We call it pelvic diaphragm. And there are certain muscles who make it. We do it in after holidays in the reproductive block. So now there is a prostate, there is a peritoneum which comes from the top but does not dip in. You are looking in a coronal section. That's why you don't see a side view. So these are within. If you perforate the urinary bladder, you directly enter into this venous plexus which surrounds the bladder, and you have non-stop bleeding. So we learn about this is the detrusor muscle. This is the beginning. Then we have sphincters. We have control mechanism. It's not happening. Whatsoever urine is coming to our urinary bladder, we pass it on. We know how to hold, but a newborn does not know. An old person does not know. Because old person has denervations and newborn has not learned, has not having the training. So these are the ureters, and there you can see the ureteric openings, and there you can see the trigone. Right? And this is the urethra. It is going through the prostate in males, we call it prostatic urethra. Then it continues, if the 3D picture is not there, you cannot see the remaining part. Let's zip it here. You don't need this information at the moment. Enough. So, behind the urinary bladder, behind the base, we know these terms. Are we good with these? No. Female. Female urinary bladder. Do you expect any difference?
Yes.
Yes.
What?
No, no,
No prostate. So this is a female bladder. No prostate. Short urethra. Female are more prone to get infections than males. Urinary tract infections. Because of the short urethra. Are we good with this? There is no other significant difference. Now, this is important. We have control mechanisms at the neck of the urinary bladder. And once these muscles got damaged, and where they are susceptible to be damaged, if you have a pelvic surgery, if you have a road traffic accident. But in females, after giving too many childbirths, these muscles, these supports may tend to get weak, and then they lost control on their urination. Sometimes when they cough, they pass out some urine. Sometimes when they laugh, they pass some urine. Sometimes when they bend, they pass some. Even when praying, they can pass a little bit of urine. This is the worst problem they are affected with. So what happens? These sphincters, these muscles, they get weak. And then they are affected, they lose the control on their urinary bladder, then they are in big trouble, and this trouble we'll talk in detail a little bit after. But this is how you can see that the mechanism of continence has been achieved by these muscles. This is important. This is the slide of the day. A normal situation, urinary bladder, we learn it. Anteriorly we have pubic symphysis. Posteriorly we learn what were those structures. In males, seminal vesicles, vas deferens, and ureters. In females, only ureters. No vas, no seminal vesicles. But what happens? And superiorly we have loops of intestine. If somebody has rupture in the urethra, some stone obstruct here, now urine cannot go out of the bladder. Now this bladder starts distending. When it distends up, it lifts the peritoneum. It lifts the loops of intestine. Now you can access this urinary bladder. To drain this urinary bladder, you may put a needle, stay in the midline, just above to the pubic symphysis, and urine has to be drained from this source for a temporary work, and this is called suprapubic catheterization if you put a tube at this place. That's called suprapubic catheterization. Make sense? Are you with me?
How do
So-
they insert it?
Just take a needle. That's it. But make sure you can feel the bladder, you can see the bladder is heaved up. Otherwise, if you put it here, you will be perforating intestine. Perforating intestine, expect any worse that can happen. Right? Yes.
Sir, in one of the stations yesterday, we were told that the catheter is inserted laterally.
What?
In one of the stations yesterday in the lab, we were told that the catheter is inserted laterally.
Never. Never, ever. It has to go in the midline. It has to go in the midline. You go laterally, you know what happens if you go laterally? You have vessels. You have vessels from the bladder which goes up. You have umbilical veins. You may puncture those. In the midline, there is only one thing, which is urethus. Tell me, how frequently you see that you have urine coming out of your umbilicus? Have you ever seen? Because your urethus has been obliterated. So midline is the safest area. Everything has been fibrosed. Unless somebody has a patent urethus, then that person you may see urine coming out from that place. But even then you cannot figure out. Otherwise, midline is the safest area. There is no vessel there. But if you go laterally, you are in trouble. Even if you see that when we give surgeries, we give incisions, we give in the midline. Because midline, there is no vessel. On the sides, what do we have? We have superior and inferior epigastric vessels. You can puncture those. What you told me, I'll bring in my next presentation today to show you what is in the inner side of the anterior abdominal wall, what are the structures there, and which you can perforate if you try to enter from lateral. So never ever say that, never ever do that. If you try to do that, be ready for consequences. So always go, the golden standard is if bladder is palpable, number one, just above the pubic symphysis, stay in the midline. These are the key words. It's same like looking for angle of Louis and going from the first. So now here you can see that. This is normal situation. It is fibrosed. But it has a cyst. This is not normal. It is partially there. There is a sinus. And some people this ureter is patent. So bladder is full. You can see urine coming out of the umbilicus. That's weird, unusual. But that's not a normal thing. This is a developmental defect. Some people you can see there's a sinus. So some pussy discharge may be coming out, but never you see urine because it is closed here. And this is a midline structure. So normally this is being fibrosed like that. If you enter from here, where you will cause any damage? Can you cause any damage? No. But if someone has ureter, then don't try it. But this is what ureter is. If it is patent, completely patent ureter. And you can see that there is a little bit left, remaining is closed. There is a cyst formed, above and below is closed. So these are the conditions which are associated with ureter. Normally it has to be obliterated completely. It should be closed. This is with all of us. I can see all of us who are sitting here. We have our ureters completely fibrosed and closed. Make sense? Now, this is the worst thing, which should not happen to anybody. Urinary bladder is living outside the anterior bladder. Is called extrophy of the bladder. Urinary bladder outside the anterior abdominal wall, ureteric openings. Even penis is not rounded, it's just a flat sheet. And it's rare, it's not very common, but it happens. And people can survive. But there are big chances of having infections because you can see that ureters are exposed to the outside world. So infection can travel very easily to the ureter and to the kidney. And poor them, they are making urine all the time. Whatsoever urine is made from the kidney is being drained out. There is no control, there is no mechanism. And kids have been born with these. This is a male example and this is a female example. This is all what we call it extrophy of urinary bladder. Make sense? Urinary bladder lies accidentally, developmental problem, congenital anomaly is lying in front of the anterior column. It's clear? Now this is complex, I'm not touching it at the moment. It will eat your brain and my brain. But there you can see a little bit what we started today. The plexuses. These are the arteries, veins. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.